Okay, Nolan Davis. We're going to review some of his essential data. Let's start with the sources for the presentation you're about to hear. I thought it was cool that his IEP has a section for goals for the future. Which leads us into Nolan's strengths. Beginning with athletics, he enjoys swimming, and he's been involved in the Special Olympics, and is the team manager of his baseball team. He's involved in a variety of clubs and extracurricular activities at school, including theater. He's very routine-oriented, handles routines very nicely, and he's been involved in student government. Now, his family is incredibly supportive, which might be one of the contributing factors in the fact that he enjoys social engagement, which is going to be critical as we move to help him develop and refine various social skills, which we'll see later. He also enjoys a variety of games, enjoys movies, and family and people associated with the school say that he has a great deal of empathy and compassion for others. When someone's hurt, he understands that. So let's talk a little bit about some of his challenges. He has an IQ of around 52. One report said that 95% of the time it would be between 49 and 58. But I like that Stephen Hawking IQ quote. This presents some challenges with communication, being easily understood and being able to formulate your ideas clearly, some issues with self-direction and learning disability, and also some issues that we'll tackle regarding speech and language therapy. Language therapy was not on the IEP, but parents are concerned and want to move away from some of the articulation things and move into more of the language therapy aspect, which will be handled primarily in the classroom through various supports. He has low tone and some fine motor issues. We have great strategies for helping with both of those. We have some concerns with daily living skills and self-direction. We have some difficulty conceptualizing, particularly probably abstract skills, and following directions. Although it doesn't say it specifically, I'm guessing that the more steps involved, the more difficult that becomes for Nolan. Some of the rules of the house that would allow him to play independently, we need to work on those. Things like handling constructive criticism without blowing up, following the rules of the game, that sort of thing. Waiting in line or waiting to take his turn is difficult. We're going to work on that. And personal space is a bit of an issue. Things like giving hugs, which might become more and more inappropriate as we get older. We can't hug strangers, of course. We have to know some personal boundaries. Things like shoving and that sort of thing are a concern as well. So let's move into goals that were established on the IEP as far as future goals. First of all, we are going to continue with the sight words, some practical money applications, social skills. What do you do if someone reaches out to shake your hand? Do you know how to handle that? Things like peer play, and particularly one-on-one peer play, and doing up a variety of clasps. We'll talk about that in the actual IEP goals too. And also dealing with tone, particularly upper body strength. So for math, we're going to talk about time in terms of 15-minute intervals, 5 minutes, 1 minute, so that we can tell time whether it be digital or analog. Money, we want counting by fives, 10s, and 25s. That moves right into working with coins and identifying and naming and telling the value of various coins. And then we want to use that with for some real-world addition and subtraction problems. Regarding reading, we're going to keep the sight words and work on accuracy and fluency. For that, we're going to talk about some executive functioning skills like predicting and forming conclusions based on what we have read. That ties it back into the parental concerns that were made clear on the IEP, where speech was dealing mostly with forming various word sounds. We want to move out of that or add to that as far as from a variety of texts, can we make predictions and conclusions? And in a variety of formats, such as in a journal or given a story prompt, we want to be able to write or type 4 sentences. And we also want to be able to type our personal information, such as name, phone number, address. Nolan can use a regular keyboard or an adaptive keyboard. The OT report said specifically that he does equally well on both. But he will have that as an accommodation if he wants to use the adaptive one. We're also going to work on catching a ball, getting some of that motor control under control. And while we're doing that, hey, why not talk about peer play one-on-one? Another student could throw the ball, and they could do that back and forth. We're talking about rules of a game. We can address some social skills in there. We can also include some communication skills. Social skills I already mentioned. And all of that might overlap with some fluency. We might be able to tackle fluency in there as well. Those are more social skills. If you're going to talk, someone could quiz him about those things, even just out at PE. He receives adaptive PE as well as speech and OT. And particularly, we're going to focus on the clasp's half-inch buttons. And like a zipper on a jacket, we want to be able to hook it in there and then zip it up. So that concludes the presentation. Thank you so much for watching.